Most entrepreneurs believe that if they build a successful business, everything else will take care of itself. If you grow the revenue, increase valuation, find the buyer, and one day cash out. But what if that's not how it actually works? What if the number you think you're selling for isn't the number you actually keep? Today's sponsored episode, and for good reason, because this conversation might completely change the way you think about building and exiting a business. Behind every headline exit, 5, 10, 50 million, there's a hidden story. A story of deal terms, tax structures, timing decisions that determine whether a founder walks away financially free or walks away wondering where most of the money went. Most business owners don't lose money when they sell because of taxes alone. They lose it long before that, in the structure of the deal, LOI, earnouts that never fully pay out, and decisions they didn't even realize they were making. And by the time they figure it out, it's too late. In today's episode with Marc Adams, we're breaking that pattern. You're going to hear how founders can not only double the value of their business in a relatively short period of time, but more importantly, how to engineer an exit so they actually keep what they built. Because building a business is one game. Exiting it successfully is a different. If you get it right, it doesn't just change your business, it changes your entire financial future. So let's get in today's sponsored episode. Good morning, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Financial Freedom Podcast. I'm delighted about today's sponsored episode. Marc Adams from the UK, a strategy and business exit planner. He helps founder-led businesses double company value in 12 to 24 months and cash out as tax efficiently as possible. Marc, welcome.
Thank you for that introduction. I'm Marc Adams, the author of a book, The Secrets to 10Xing Your Business and Cashing Out Tax-Free. Before the book, if I took you to the pandemic, I went for a routine medical check to discover that I had stage 4 cancer. I got COVID, gone from having 6 months to live to 28 days. Luckily, I'm back home. I get a call from a friend of mine trying to sell a business. A scenario where the price that an owner really needed to get for that business was more than the market was going to pay. In 6 months lead up to selling that business, they could see up to 50% of it stripped away. It took me 2 years to write Secrets to 10Xing Your Business and Cashing Out Tax-Free. Somebody picked up the book, invited me onto a podcast, a way to get the message out. The book led to speaking to share the message so people could get to a point where they could afford to sell the companies that they'd built and keep more of what's theirs. Keeping more of what's theirs wasn't enough. You had to grow the value of it. By accident, when I came off stage, somebody came to me and said, "We'd like to help." That led to 2 conversations with 2 family offices that got behind us, and subsequently private credit's been added to that. Fast forward, we're looking for business owners to double the value of their business and position them to keep much more when they exit. Rather than lose 30 to 50%, we'll get it down to 10% or less. We're focusing on improving value quickly, without disruption, debt, without equity dilution. That's the double and exit framework.
Quick pause here. If this episode is making you rethink how your income is structured, that's intentional. Information doesn't create freedom, structure does. At the end of this episode, I'm going to show you how to diagnose whether you're building leverage or just scaling complexity. Let's get back into it. You have this concept called you didn't lose money on taxes, you lost it in the letter of intent. You talk about how terms plus timing quietly destroy the keep rate even when the sale price looks huge.
It's a multifaceted area. There's a whole bunch of things that can work against you in the LOI. What I would say to anybody that's thinking about buying a business is get it under LOI as quickly as you possibly can, because it gives you breathing space to go and figure out how you're going to buy that business. What you've got to be careful of is not agreeing to any penalties or starting to incur costs too early. Let's imagine that you go under LOI to buy a business. You want to start building as much as you can for the due diligence process. You could spend a lot of money on that. You can use AI to help you. We've built AI-based software that can take that whole process and do it in minutes. So we can get a very good view before we've even signed the LOI, which saves us time, because money loves speed and speed loves money. We make sure in the LOI that if they decide to work with someone else, They're responsible for reimbursing whatever money we spent on due diligence up to that point. You always want to ask that. 9 times out of 10, information's been presented in the most positive light, and you're not going to get under the covers of it until you're in DD. Be careful, get your LOIs, do your due diligence, do as much as you can up front with AI to minimize your costs before you start getting the lawyers and the CPAs in, because that's going to cost you a lot of money. Make sure the business has cash inside the business to give it back to you once you've acquired the business over time. Make sure that if they pull out, you're going to get your fees back, and make sure that you're doing as much as you can with AI these days to minimize that risk as you move forward. For our listeners, high net worth individuals, for those that might be making their first business purchase, go a bit slower, get help. If you need help from us, we'll happily help you. We'll have initial discussions with anybody free of charge. Make sure you go slower because you're risking your own money into some of these deals. Make sure that you take it slowly and methodically to minimize any risk you might have of it falling apart, because it happens all the time to the big boys. And so it's going to happen to us.
You talked about two different themes. One is earnouts are a tax problem disguised as a deal term, and why earnouts change risk timing and what the founder actually keeps.
When a business is valued, a buyer will say, okay, you want 10 million, but we see that it's worth 6. In order to get the deal done, they'll agree to the 10 million, but that other 4 million is on milestones, revenue, or profitability targets being met. Unfortunately, those additional milestones don't get met. You find that the owners who thought they were going to get that 10 million only get 6. And that leaves a lot of sour taste in the mouth. From the investor side, they see it as a great business, but the numbers don't necessarily perform to allow them to offer the price that the owner wants. So they don't do a deal, or they bridge it. They're trying to be fair, but it makes them look bad. Private equity have got a really bad rap for this kind of thing. For your question on the tax side, I think too much money gets left on the table by owners because they don't think about how they're going to prepare the business. There's nothing wrong with tax minimization. Tax evasion is illegal. Nobody supports that. Everybody should pay their appropriate taxes. If you can organize yourself so that you pay less tax, there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody should legally and ethically be doing that and keeping more of what's theirs. The combination of the two, increase the value and keep more of it, makes a massive difference. If we go back to a business that's worth 5 million and keeps 3, that 3 million goes in their bank. For the next 20 years, they want to earn from that. You can do some very simple things, put it into insurance products from companies like Allianz. There's property related approved IRS investments that you might be able to make a decent return. Over 7 years, if all goes well, you compound enough to double that. In 7 years, you've doubled your 3 to 6. If you, through the double and exit framework, start off with closer to 9 and do the same thing, you've compounded over that same period of time to 18. Even if it wasn't 18 and it was only 14, you're still so far ahead. It starts with organizing your next steps. I realize everybody won't want to do passive income. A lot of investors go back, they get bored. Take some of that cash that they'd earned and put that into a new venture. They could go and help other entrepreneurs go through that same journey where they doubled their value, organized their exit so they could keep more of what's theirs. They get a bump percentage equity in that business they're helping, so when it sells, they get another bonus. That could make $500,000 a year for them on 10 to 15 hours a month. Wicked way to enjoy your next stage of life, especially retirement. Not many people think about it, less implementing.
What a fantastic way to conclude this. How can people connect with you and learn more?
Go to acquisitionsforyou.com. On the landing page, you'll see a video of me. And if you want to see how you could double the value of the business, click here. No heavy sell, no requirements to talk to us. If they want to talk to us, they can reach out, book a call. There's free tax software that we built on our website. Take them minutes to answer 8 or 9 questions or give them a very good overview of what their position is going to be. If you're making 250,000 in profit, you're not probably going to make enough when you sell to worry about what you're going to save on the tax side of it. If you're going to come into 4 million or more, this is something you definitely should be trying to maximize, especially if you are jointly owning that business with other shareholders.
Thanks so much for coming on and sharing your expertise, and keep up the great work.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure to be here today, and I hope it helps some of your listeners.
The new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't clone you, but it can streamline your hiring workflow. From posting jobs to shortlisting candidates to interviewing, LinkedIn Hiring Pro is the hiring partner you need, so you can focus on connecting with the right talent. In fact, small businesses report saving over 6 hours per week. So hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality.
Let's zoom out. If you're a physician, founder, or high-income professional, and you feel like you're working harder every year, but not structurally freer, you're not alone. The mistake isn't effort, it's architecture. This show exists to help you convert expertise into scalable leverage, faster and with fewer expensive missteps. Here's the diagnostic I mentioned before. If your income requires your constant presence, if your capital isn't compounding outside your profession, if your highest value talent is doing low value tasks, you don't have a growth problem, you have a leverage design problem. And if you want to fix it with clarity instead of guesswork, I offer a limited number of one-on-one leverage strategy sessions each month. We audit your income model, capital deployment, authority positioning, and structural bottlenecks, and design your highest return move. If you're serious about compressing years into months, the link to apply is below.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.